Hi, welcome to episode 4 of the Knitting Annie podcast. I am Knitting Annie. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to returning viewers and welcome to people who are new. I hope that you enjoy your time with me, that you grab your knitting, and you can relax a little bit while I talk about my knitting adventures. It is Sunday, January 25th, and we are expecting a blizzard in New England. And I am very fortunate to live in a part of Connecticut, and I'm saying that kind of sarcastically, that is expecting up to 28 inches or so of snow. I did the conversion to centimeters. That is approximately 72 centimeters of snow. We will see how much snow we get, but I have a feeling that almost all businesses and schools and everything else will be closed in New England on Tuesday. My own business probably included, we'll see. If so, I will be home knitting. I am checking out my notes to see what we have to talk about. I'm going to try and make it quick. I actually ran through this almost entire podcast before, and then everything broke loose in the house. The dogs were barking and Watson wanted to go out, and I have not figured out editing software yet. So in effort to actually get something up today, which is Sunday, I am going to try and breeze through this again. I have finished objects to show you. I have some works in progress. I have some new fiber acquisitions. I have some spinning things to show you and talk about. So let's get right into it. I will talk about what I have on. This is my socket hat, and I'm done. Isn't that so cool? It's nice and slouchy. It feels really great. It's very warm. It's made out of merino. This is a yarn from Yarn Inc. It's not a repeatable colorway. It's kind of like that speckly, what are they calling it? It's popular now to buy yarn that has this kind of sprinkle dyed maybe. This sprinkle dyed pattern. If you look at this in person, it's got like this overtone of like a lavender purple, but then you'll see little pops of green and turquoise in there, and you can't tell, but it's sparkly, and I love things that sparkle. Speaking of things that sparkle, thank you to my friend Joni of Light Curves, who is a friend of mine. Joni is a classically trained stained glass artist who is incredibly creative. She made this necklace for me and just sent it to me. It's a little peace sign. And these earrings I bought from her a few years ago, I think. And they're a pretty green color. They're a little bit darker on the bottom and a lighter green up top. But she's so talented. You should see her full window. She makes these stained glass windows that you can hang. I'm sure she'd also make them that you install, or that she has made them in the past. But they're absolutely gorgeous. And if you would like, check her out, Light Curves Glass Studio. She is on Etsy, and I think she has a website too. Anyway, I'll put it in the show notes on the blog. Did I talk about where I am, who I am? I don't know. It's all like blending together now. So I'm Knitting Annie on Instagram. I have my blog/website called knittingannie.com, and I am now with a new name on Ravelry, which I don't use Ravelry that much. I am the Knitting Annie there now. I used to have a different name, but I wanted to be more cohesive, and I changed it, so I hope that it's not too weird. The Knitting Annie. Knitting Annie was already taken by somebody else who barely uses her account, I think. But either way, I don't think there will be much confusion. I don't have too much on there, and my profile picture is me, so you know it's me. Maybe I'll do more on Ravelry in the future if there are enough people watching. Hi to those of you who are returning. I really appreciate it. And welcome, welcome, welcome everybody who's new. If you'd like to subscribe on YouTube, that's a really cool feature they have. So when I update, you get a little alert that said, Annie updated, come watch. So thank you. I talk with my hands a lot. I'm Italian. It's just what we do. Hope it doesn't bother you. So I did this socket hat. And then when I was done, Brad was like, oh, I really want one too. And I went to my fiber stash and I grabbed some handspun yarn that I've been hanging on to forever. I kind of hoard my handspun because I'm afraid of ruining it by knitting it into something. I don't know why. It's kind of like this blank canvas and it's perfect as it is, and I don't want to ruin it. But I made this Jacob, oh, here it is. I made yarn from Jacob wool. Jacob is a breed of sheep, and they come in different colors. They're generally black and white. Sometimes they're more white than they are black, and they have big spots on them. Some Jacob sheep have smaller spots, and some have, I want to say it's lilac, they're called. And their black spots aren't actually black, but they're more of like a light gray or like a grayish, slightly brown color. I'll link to them also in the show notes so you could read more about Jacob. So I spun this into a single, which means that it wasn't plied against anything else. It's just that one thread of yarn. And I kind of did a gradient. And then within the gradient, there are these, you know, variegations that turned into stripes. And I start knitting at the lightest, and then it gets to this dark band here, and then it kind of goes light again, but have heavier stripes there. And I love it. Brad loves it too. It looks really good on him. I didn't make this as long as the one that I'm wearing. He didn't want it to be as slouchy. Let me turn to the side so you can see it. So his doesn't slouch as much, and if I don't roll mine up, it'll be even slouchier, which I don't mind. Is kind of cool. And we wore our knits the other day when we went on a little walk around the reservoir. There's a reservoir here in Connecticut. It's like a 3-mile walk around the water. It was really pretty. Most of the water was frozen, and then in the unfrozen spots there were some geese and ducks, and we watched them land. And I filmed a little clip of that and I put it on Instagram, and then after I did, I was like, what if some people are watching and they're going to be so annoyed with me because the audio is like honk honk of these of these geese hanging out with each other. So if that bugged you, I am sorry. Some people did enjoy listening to it, and I thought it was really fascinating to be there and hear them all. It was really loud. It was really cool. So we walked around there. It was really icy. And then I found this cool rock, and I know this is kind of dorky, but it looks like Brad's hat. So I thought, wow, what a good memory. Here he is wearing his socket hat for the first time. And then we go on this very sweet walk, and I find this rock, and now I'm going to keep it as a little memory, and I'm going to put it on my dresser. So those are my finished objects. And then I can probably show you an old finished object, because I'm going to show you a rediscovered work in progress. So here is the first Holden shawl that I made. On Ravelry it's just called Holden. Now there are 2 different sizes for it. When I had initially made it, I think it's a paid pattern now, but when I got it, it was a free pattern. I don't know, it's been a while now, I can't remember. Anyway, I made this out of a yarn that I got from a big box chain store in the sale bin. It was really cheap. And the only thing that I really regret about it is because it's a lesser expensive sock yarn, it's very scratchy, which in general I don't mind scratchy, but it's particularly scratchy, and it's got so much nylon in it that after I made this, I thought it was really going to block out larger, and it didn't. So I probably could have done it on larger needles. It's fairly small. I think this would be considered the smaller size now. You can make a full-size version of this. I'm sure it's not that hard to just add on to this pattern if you wanted to like wing it and put stripes in it and make it as big as you want, really. But I wear it like this, and I kind of tuck these in under here. The pain, because it's so short, while I was walking along at the reservoir, I wore like all of my hand knits the other day at the reservoir. Every once in a while it would come undone and I'd have to rewrap it. But it was great because it kept me warm, and there was all of this wind there, and it kept my neck from getting, you know, chilly, as it should. And then I was thinking and talking with Brad, he's like, wow, shawls are really cool when you wear them like that. It's kind of like a better version of a scarf. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And he said, I kind of wish I had one. And then I said, well, there are man shawls. So maybe I will be making Brad a man shawl. And it would be a great reason to have to buy more yarn. So that's that. The other day, last week when I was off from work, I did some crazy woman cleaning, as many of you have in January. I think January is kind of like, I must start anew and fresh and clean, and I must clean everything. Well, I have certainly not reached every area of my home, but I did start with my bedroom, and I cleaned my closet. Oh, I'm in my bedroom now. I never thought that I'd be filming anything for the internet in my bedroom, but here I am. It was just better tonight for lighting and all kinds of stuff because I'm filming this much later than I filmed the other ones. Anyway, so I'm in my bedroom, my closet's across from me, and as I was cleaning out my closet, I was opening up all of my bags and trying to, you know, throw stuff out. I cannot tell you how much I donated, recycled, and threw away. It's like, how was it even fitting in there? I have no idea. So anyway, I open up this bag and I'm like, oh, that's where that went. So this is a work in progress. Not very much progress, but it's a work in. This is hand-spun baby doll Southdown roving that I got from Long Island Livestock Company. She actually lives in Long Island. I can't remember her first name. I'm friends with her on Facebook. She's very nice. She does all the shows in the Northeast, and she travels to shear animals for farmers, I think all the way as south as Georgia. So I've seen, I think, maybe. Anyway, she had an open house at her farm a couple years ago, and Brad and I went, and we visited with all of her llamas and alpacas. She's got 2 house pigs, these really cool pot-bellied pigs that live in her home. She's got a Jack Russell Terrier and really beautiful fiber. And I bought some baby doll Southdown roving from her, and I made this. This is a 2-ply yarn. I'm gonna get close so that you can see it a little bit better. It was kind of a challenge to spin. Baby doll Southdown doesn't have the longest staple length. I think the staple length on this was probably, oh gosh, it was less than 2 inches, I want to say. So occasionally it would break because I would pull too far back. Those of you who are learning how to spin right now, welcome to the fantastic and amazing world of spinning. There are some fleeces that are going to be harder for you to work on right now because you are learning, and baby doll Southdown may be one of them, but it's definitely something I recommend you try later on. It's a very squishy, very springy yarn. It feels almost like it has nylon in it. That's the kind of bounce that it's giving me. So I'm kind of hoping that this doesn't do what the other Holden shawl did and stay too tight together. But anyway, this is as far as I've gotten. These are not the needles I was using. If I remember correctly, I had Addies in here, and then I put these cheapy needles that I would never actually knit with ever again because they're cheapy and annoying in here just to you know, make sure it didn't unravel while I use those needles for something else. But that's that. So I'm going to have to figure out where I am in the pattern. It's a very easy pattern, and then try and finish that up. I'm going to make this one longer than my original, and we'll go from there. So hopefully I have something to show you, more progress on this work in progress the next time we speak. Also, I was debating doing the Follow Your Arrow 2 mystery knit along, and I don't know, maybe my brain hasn't been working very well lately, but I cast on and ripped out probably 5 times. I don't know what it was. I'm doing clue 1B, and I'm gonna have to rip it out and start over again. Maybe I'm starting it too late at night. I tried doing it while I was in bed before I went to sleep, and maybe I just wasn't thinking very clearly. Anyway, I think this is the yarn I'm going to use. Oh, I'm all tangled up. This is a green merino. This is from Six Fingered Kitty on Etsy. And this is a blue merino from Malabrigo. I don't know if it's smart for me to use this because I have 2 balls of this. So is it kind of a waste to not use both balls on one project? If I have that much of one type of yarn to use, and then do we even like these together? Let me know if you don't like this together. I can't decide. And then I think I'm going to have to use different stitch markers because I think part of the problem is I was confusing myself These are stitch markers that I made, which I love, and I think they're beautiful. But I think for this pattern, you want to use stitch markers that don't all look the same. So here are little leaves, and they're on these beautiful little sticks that dangle. Pretty, but not maybe so functional. So we'll put that aside. I am also working on, let me get the name of it. Briar Bunny by Amanda Keys. I have never made a softie before, a stuffy, a stuffed animal, whatever you call them in your native tongue. This will be my first one. And I love bunnies. Brad and I have a house rabbit. If you did not know, please look for him on my Instagram. His name is Warren, and he's a mini Rex that we've had since he was a baby. He lives in the house like my dogs do. And I think he is 9.5 or 10. I'd have to look and see. I can't remember. But he's kind of like our little old man rabbit, and he comes when you call him. He gets along really well with the dogs, and they all snuggle and sleep together, and it's really, really adorable. So anyway, I am making this bunny. I am using a baby alpaca yarn. You can't see the sparkle in it. There's little tiny thread kind of spun throughout that is a gold color. And because I'm so organized, I stuck my DPNs in there. I think I'm using a size 2. And you can see my darning needle. And I made the head. I think from seeing the finished pictures of this, oops, that the side that I cast off is going to be the nose. So I think instead of being long like this, it ends up getting smushed a little bit. And that ends up being the nose. I'm not sure, but we'll see. I stuffed this with some fleece that I had washed. I have a white Dorset fleece on hand that I'm not planning on spinning. It's probably better used for stuffing. It's very springy, and you would not believe how much I shoved in that little ball. I don't know if I overstuffed it. I've never done this before. I don't plan on giving this to a little kid. I plan on keeping it for myself, so I'm not really too concerned about the durability of it. It's really soft. It's really smooth. The alpaca is amazing. It's kind of annoying though, using alpaca on those needles. It's too small. The needles are too small really for this yarn, as it should be for a stuffed toy. But firstly, it kind of hurts my hands doing it. And I think that's the trouble with my hands lately, is that when something is really small, it bothers me. But also the alpaca is very, very smooth and slippery. So as I'm knitting, I have to be extra, extra careful that I'm not slipping a stitch off the needle. And in case you were curious, the name of this yarn is Louisa Harding. And I'll show you the band for the ball. And you can see I paid 13 smackaroons for it. That's expensive. But it's really not when you think about alpaca and how expensive that fiber is, and someone had to spin it, but still, 13 bucks. Anywho, I'll be happy to finish that. This was really, really, really quick. I did this last night while we were watching television, and then hopefully I'll start the body sometime tonight. If not, I'm sure in the next couple days I'll have plenty of time to knit, especially with this blizzard coming through. Next, I am going to be spinning some alpaca for a farmer in Kentucky whose name is Nancy. Hi Nancy, if you were watching this. I gave Nancy the link to my website. She sent me a fawn colored alpaca, which fawn is kind of like a beigey creamy color. And then I washed it because I like to wash alpaca first, and then I dyed it, and then I planned on picking it in my picker. The picker opens up the fibers, the lock of the animal, to make it easier to card, or you can spin from that cloud. So it makes it very airy. So I washed the alpaca, and alpaca doesn't have lanolin like sheep, so there's nothing that really sticks to it. But they're very dusty. So a lot of the dust came out, and I thought I did a pretty good job. Well, apparently I did not, because as I ran this fiber through my picker, you can see it right there. As I was running it through my picker, it was making a lot of color dust because I had dyed it and it colored the dust, and then that was coming out now that I was picking it. And I picked and picked and picked, and I was done, and then I sat down with Brad to watch some Star Trek reruns on TV, and I was like, I had a funny taste in my mouth, and then I blew my nose, and out came a lot of turquoise. So foolish Annie had made all of this dyed dust that she inhaled. And Brad was like, oh my God, now this is in the air and you're gonna poison us with this dust. And what did you do to yourself? So I went out and bought a mask to wear. So the next time I play around with this fiber, I'm gonna wear this mask so I don't inhale all of this junk. But anyway, it came out really pretty. I haven't spun it yet, but I'll show you the colors that I dyed. Ooh, that is crinkly. This is the turquoise. So pretty. And then I'll show you what one lock looks like, and then you can see when I run this through my picker, see how that's all kind of like connected? So when you run it through a picker, it opens it up like this. And in opening it up, all of that dusty dye came out and right into me. So that's the turquoise, and then I did this kind of aqua sea green. So pretty. And then my favorite, this bright, awesome chartreuse. And I plan on spinning this with some bright purple sparkly Angelina with little interspersed sections of a bright hot pink silk and a purple sparkly Firestar, and then maybe also a spot here or a spot there of a hot pink merino that I processed. So that's going to be some really awesome yarn for this farmer, and I really, really, really hope she loves it. It's going to be like screaming color, so hopefully she doesn't mind really bright colors. But I'll show that to you guys the next time I see you, because hopefully I'll be done with it by then. And then I'm really excited. There's a gal named Ellen in Sweden who's going to be sending me some native Gotland fleece to spin for her. Gotland is a breed of sheep originally from Sweden, and it's got curly hair, and you can get it in the United States, but this is way cool because this is native sheep from Sweden. And she also raises a breed of sheep that I'm probably not going to say right, called Varmland. And I've never seen it or heard of it, and I'm so excited because I asked her if when she sends me the Gotland to spin for her, if maybe I could buy a little bit of the Varmland fleece from her to keep for myself. So she's going to show me some pictures tomorrow, I think, of different colors that she has on hand, and I'm so excited. So I'll spin that for her, and then I'll ship it back to her, and it'll be another great fiber experience for me. Not that I'm really lacking stuff to spin, but it's just so exciting to get native fleece from around the world. Very, very cool. Forgive me as I look at my list, but I'm kind of spacey and I can't remember. Oh, you have to see how pretty this is. This is from AJ's Handmade Creations. And I had her card here. Oh, here it is. I'll link her information if you want to get in touch with her. This is 4 ounces of 50/50 merino and mulberry silk. She's calling this colorway Deep Space. I purchased everything she had left. So sorry if you would like to spin some of this, you have to wait until she makes it again. I don't know if she's going to do it again. I hope so because it's amazing. Oh, look how cool this is. So I have 4 of these braids. There's a couple other things that she's waiting on sending me. Something that is like this but black with gold sparkles in it, and I think 1 or 2 skeins of yarn. I don't know. Don't tell Brad. Brad, if you're watching, cover your ears. I didn't say that anything else was coming in the mail. Honest. But look at that. That color is just so cool. I don't know how I'm going to spin this. If I'm going to keep it consistent, so then I'll go, you know, the dark gray, the light gray, then this purpley, jazzy goodness here. I don't know. What do you think? Should I spin it in color blocks and then maybe Navajo ply it? Or should I do like a fractal spinning? Oh God, I don't know, but I love it so much. This color is amazing. It's like nothing I've ever seen. And then you can see the sheen of that sparkle, not sparkle, the sheen of the silk. So it's uber soft because of the merino, and then the silk, it's like, ah, I think I should just, I'll wear it like this. And I won't even have to spin it. Look at that, it's like a lovely fur collar. I'm nuts, I'm really nuts. And then I also bought this yarn from a gal. I follow her on Instagram. I'm sorry I can't remember her name right now, but if I can find it when I do a little search, I will post that in the show notes. I saw her knitting with this, and then I thought it was like super pretty, and I said, if you make another, you know, if you dye some more, could I buy a skein from you? And she said, sure. So I bought this, and she calls it Heavy on the Sprinkles, and I'll hold it closer so you can see it. It's basically, it looks like rainbow sprinkles. But I did not realize until I bought this that she does this with food dyes. And traditionally, I have been, I don't want to say against food dyes, but I don't really do them. I don't know. I think what makes me nervous is that not all of them are as light fast as they could be, and they don't stay as vivid as it could be forever. In reality, food dyes are a chemical. So this is a chemical, which is a professional grade acid dye. And this is a chemical that you happen to eat, that our government said for some god-awful reason it's okay for us to eat. So we eat these chemical dyes all the time. And some of them can be used to dye wool. If you are learning how to dye, it's a great way to start. When I first started dyeing, instead of buying dyes that can be sort of dangerous, because like I did, you don't want to inhale them, I started on Kool-Aid just to make sure it's something I was even interested in doing, but I didn't continue with that. I started. It's a great thing to do with children who you're trying to teach to dye, and you want something that's not as toxic as this professional grade dye is. So I'm kind of on the fence. I am happy that I bought it though, because the yarn is very soft. It's very squishy. This is a superwash merino. 460 yards, 100 grams. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I think it is very pretty and it's very soft. I may make another sock head hat out of this and give it to my mom. I don't know if she would like this many colors, or maybe my sister. I have two sisters, and I think one of them, my youngest sister, might like this. I'm always reluctant of giving them wool garments because they always say, we don't want wool, we want something acrylic that's really tough that we can stick in the machine and wash and wash and wash. I'm also of the school of thought that hand knits, regardless if they are acrylic or wool, regardless if they are superwash wool or not, everything should be hand washed, because it makes that garment that someone spent tons and tons of time working on and tons of love, it makes the garment last much longer. So if you have hand knits that somebody gave you, please don't put them in your washing machine. Hand wash them. Okay, I like went on this ranty tangent, and I'm sorry. But this is new yarn. Okay. What else do I have to show you? Oh my God. My mother-in-law, hi, she's probably watching, is an incredibly talented quilter. She is like no quilter I have ever seen. She makes big, beautiful quilts. Actually, on my bed right now, we have two of her quilts. You can't see it because I covered it up with this beige cover. But she made us two really big, beautiful quilts for our bed, and she does these knitting bags. She is called Quilt Country on Etsy. Her name is Jean, and she uses only the finest fabric materials. This is cotton. It's heavyweight cotton that you would use on a big quilt that's going to last for a million years. And it's hard to see in this light, but it is quilted. This has kind of like a swirly quilted pattern, a very strong handle, and I'll show you the inside. Let me take these goodies out. Whoa, look at all those pockets. She makes these for diaper bags, or you can buy them as knitting bags. And I'll show you her little tag. Quilt Country. Please check her out. Her prices are beyond reasonable. I bought this bag from her, which I think made her upset because she said she would have just sent it to me. But I really feel that for $65, this was a tremendous value. I'm not just going to use this as a knitting bag. I'm going to use this as a, you know, a purse that I'm going to use as well. It has a magnetic closure and the zippered pocket in here. And I love it so, so, so much. The bottom is nice and sturdy. It's got something in there to keep it more stiff. And then she included for me, which was very nice of her, this little matching pouch that zips. So cute. It's got fabric on the inside. It's lined too. I'm going to use this for notions, my stitch markers and things like that. And that's quilted too. And she also made this for me, which was quite a nice surprise. This roll, and it's got this grosgrain ribbon that ties into a bow, and you open it up and it stores knitting needles. And it has, I think I have it, oh, it is right side up. So it has, you know, different slots, and I'm going to be able to fit everything in here. So I'm going to put my double pointed needles in here. And then I think I can put some of my loose circular needles, and I don't have as many straight needles, but they're going to fit in here too. And then she's so clever because this part that folds down would protect any needles from falling out up here, and then it rolls right up. So please check her out. She does such amazing work, and it's so reasonably priced, and I love it. Thank you so much. So pretty. So cozy too. So that is that. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything about what I'm knitting now or finished stuff. No, I don't see anything there, but I did want to talk about podcast things. I have been watching a few other podcasts. I normally watch Danny from Little Bobbins, and I watch Cara from Knit All the Things podcast. I started watching Sally from Wool Diaries, who is in South Africa, and Tanya from The Sampler Girl. She is Busy Mama on Instagram. I don't remember, Sally, are you Wool Diaries on Instagram? I don't remember. I'll link to you guys in my show notes. And a very special shout out to Sally Jane of the Pink Hair Girl podcast, who is also from South Africa. Oh, I just kicked my camera setup. I was so excited. She is from South Africa as well. And her husband, who is called affectionately The Geek, did a segment for me on their podcast, or her podcast, where I asked them how to pronounce my favorite tea, which is, hopefully I'll do it correctly, rooibos. Did I do it? Apologies to The Geek if I totally ruined that word. But The Geek speaks Afrikaans, and this tea is native to South Africa, which is so cool. So they did this whole big segment about how to say that, number one, but then they did all of this research for me about that tea, and Brad and I watched it together. I have to tell you guys, since I started getting into this, oh God, I'm getting so excited, I'm knocking everything over. Since I got into this whole podcasting thing, when I watch podcasts, Brad will sit down on the sofa next to me, and I'll knit, and I'm watching it on my phone, and he's watching it with me. So now he knows all of you guys too. It's so funny. But anyway, he was watching the Pink Hair Girl, Sally Jane, and her husband explain this, and he's like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I said, yeah, not only is it cool, but The Geek is really cute. And Brad's like, okay, thanks for sharing. And we're watching. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. It was so nice of them to do that. God, and he is so cute. So thank you so much to Sally Jane and her very handsome husband for doing that for me. I really appreciate that. And to celebrate that even further, I am offering a box of one of my favorite Rooibos teas, which is this Numi organic brand. And in honor of Pink Hair Girl, these very pink stitch markers that I made. I don't know how well you can see. It's like a hot pink, and then there's that little peace sign. To a winner. The way to enter, if you would go to my website, my blog, which is knittingannie.com, this particular post where I'm posting the podcast for this week, there's a comment section. So if you would write a comment there as to what your favorite tea is, or what your favorite beverage is to drink while you are knitting, I will randomly pick from that list of people the person who is going to win that lovely set of stitch markers and my favorite tea, as a thank you to Sally Jane for doing that for me. So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. It was quite a kick hearing you guys talk about that. And I encourage everybody who doesn't watch Sally Jane, please tune in. She's got so much information about South Africa. She's got a beautiful book. A lot of people have been making her mug cozy from her book, which I really want to make. I have such peer pressure issues. When I see you guys, everybody makes the socket hat, I'm like, oh my God, I have to make one. And now that everybody is making this mug cozy, I'm like, how did I not think to make that yet? So I will most likely be making one of those as well. So thank you very much. And, oh, I will be posting the winner, or, you know, maybe I should read it out loud on the podcast. Next week, which is the 31st, which is Sunday, I will be filming our next episode, and I will let you know who is going to win that tea. In the meantime, I hope that everybody stays warm. If you live in New England or in Connecticut, oh, hi! Shout out to my Connecticut knitting and fiber buddies. After the last podcast, a lot of people contacted me to say, hey, I'm in Connecticut too. So that's pretty awesome. Maybe when the weather gets warmer, we can all figure out something to do. So hi to my Connecticut friends. Please, everybody, stay warm. We're going to get a ton of snow. It'll be great knitting weather. Please don't forget to feed your birds outside if you are a bird watcher. When you're going to the supermarket tomorrow to get your last minute things, everybody goes to the supermarket for milk, eggs, and bread. I don't know. Why not milk, eggs, and granola or broccoli? Everybody, we need milk, we need eggs, and we need bread. So when you head to the store tomorrow to pick up these survival supplies that you're going to need because we're going to be snowed in, please also pick up some bird seed because your birds are dependent on you right now to make it through the winter. This has been a public service announcement from Knitting Annie. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope I didn't ramble on too much. I got so excited. Towards the end, I started knocking everything over, so excuse me. I hope it didn't make a lot of noise. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.